Cake shooters are a fun and easy way to serve cake, and they're a unique way to toast to any celebration. So, what are cake shooters? They're cake and filling and frosting, layered and served in shot glasses, or disposable cups, or even champagne flutes. Choose something transparent so you can see the gorgeous layers of cake and filling and frosting inside. How do you make cake for cake shooters? Use any recipe. I'm using my very vanilla and my perfect chocolate cake, and you can bake them in mini cupcake pans, or I'll show you 2 other ways in a moment. I like to bake mini cupcakes without wrappers, to skip the step of unwrapping them later. And then optionally, for the neatest and most tender tasting results, cut off any bulging tops or use a round cookie cutter to trim any bulges. If you don't have mini cupcake pans, or your shot glasses aren't the same width as mini cupcakes, bake your cakes in any larger pan, like a sheet cake or this 8-inch round cake. Fairly thin layers work best. If any cake layers break apart, those are perfect for this. After the cake cools, use a small round cookie cutter the same width as your shot glasses, or just the shot glass itself, to cut discs out of your cake. I find this way a little bit more time consuming, and you'll end up with more wasted cake. Optionally, you can drizzle your cake with simple syrup. Simple syrup is equal parts of water and sugar, brought to a simmer in a pan so that the sugar dissolves, and then just leave it to cool before you use it. This will keep the cake moist if you're not serving it until the next day, and I'm going to show you later how to store these and how to transport them. What fillings and frostings can you use for cake shooters? The answer is easy. Any. I'm using my 4-Minute Buttercream, but you can use meringue frostings, ganache, and even whipped cream. It's easiest to put the frosting in a piping bag, and I'll show you some filling ideas next. So, how do you make cake shooters? Grab your glass and squeeze some frosting into the very bottom. You can level it with a spoon if your piping bag doesn't reach all the way down. Then layer your cake and fillings and frosting all the way up the glass. For fillings like this mango puree and strawberry puree, I recommend layering frosting above and below each cake layer. Otherwise, the puree will absorb into the cake and stain it, which won't look as pretty. I teach how to make all sorts of fillings in my online course, The Basics of Cake, and the link is in the top of the screen and the video description, or go to my cake school on britishgirlbakes.com. The challenge with tall glasses, like these disposable champagne flutes, is that it's tricky to reach down to the bottom. You can use a spoon to lower fillings and frostings into the glass, but they're likely to drip or smudge onto the sides of the glass. Using a piping bag helps you get lower down into the glass, like I'm doing here with a bag with the end cut off. But if you have a long thin pastry tip, called a Bismarck tip, that's ideal because you can pipe fillings and frosting right down to the bottom without touching the sides. This is my perfect chocolate cake with chocolate buttercream and caramel. So decadent. And although these champagne flutes look really elegant, I will mention that for shorter glasses, like little plastic shot glasses, it's much easier to get your cake and fillings in without making a mess. If you can, choose a cup that's a similar width all the way up and down, so that you can cut your cake into the same size pieces and they'll all fit neatly into it, whether they're at the top or the bottom of the cup. You can finish off each cake shooter with a swirl of frosting or spoon some filling on top, or even use a dollop of whipped cream. Or you can use some sort of garnish, like these crumbled dried strawberries, or these toffee crunch pieces. Or sprinkles are always fun. If these are for a birthday celebration, you can of course add a candle for the birthday boy or girl too. How do you serve cake shooters? With a spoon. I love these long gold spoons, but if the cake shooters are in order, you can include plastic spoons instead. How far in advance can you make cake shooters? How do you store cake shooters? Like with any cake, these will taste best if you bake them as close to serving as possible. You can cover them with plastic wrap and store them in the fridge for a day or two, or you can freeze them if you want to make them in advance. But cake, fillings, and frostings taste best at room temperature, so take them out of the fridge or freezer several hours before serving to warm up. I'm going to show you how to travel with these across the country, across the world, with no special gadgets or tools. First, cover each one with plastic wrap to prevent moisture from the freezer getting into them, and then place them upright in the freezer. The door of the freezer is perfect for this. Once they're frozen, arrange them in a cooler with ice packs, and just before traveling, put the cooler in your suitcase. By the time you get to your destination, the cake shooters will probably have thawed, but since buttercream is quite stiff, it will have held the cake and fillings in place within the glasses. Enjoy! I hope this tutorial has been useful. Tell me in the comments if you're going to make some cake shots. Thanks for watching.